when I welcome the grief of my need for others, my relentless need for others, I am actually welcoming joy. Yeah. Because love is the most beautiful thing in the whole damn world. Mm-hmm. And I am in a position to have to receive it practically over and over and over again.
Well, welcome everybody. This is Park Rose Bookstore in Charlotte, North Carolina's first time doing a live podcast. This is Flip Your Lid's first time. I'm the host of it. My wife is the producer of Flip Your Lid. We could not do this without her. And there's no one else I would want to do this for the first time with than the amazing, beautiful KJ Ramsey.
So, thank you.
Thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. And we have a live audience, and that means we have people here that I know, if you are here, that you may have chronic pain, chronic illness, you may have a plethora of mental illnesses placed on you. You may have been told you're mentally ill just for you being you. And I want you to know you are more than welcome to be here and to be yourself. And we're really glad you're here. There is no point in doing this without you. So thank you all. Really appreciate it. And we're also very happy that Keisha's family's here.
And keep yourselves comfortable. I told somebody in my messages yesterday, if you need to lay on the floor, if that helps you be here.
I do ask that you stay clothed.
I mean, keep your clothes on.
I'm a little
keep
modest.
most of your clothes on. Mm-hmm. But yes.
Besides that,
keep yourselves comfortable. It won't offend us if you get up and stretch. And
we're going to have a question and answer. And y'all might have like this burning question and you really can't wait to that section. And if I notice that, we might give you the mic. I don't even know.
I'm great with that.
We're good with that. This is how cool we are.
We're so cool.
We're so cool. We should just talk about ourselves for like the next 45 minutes. We should do that, right?
Right,
okay.
We should do that.
All right, let's do this. All right, so this is the premise of Flip Your Lid. What we do is that I'll always only know one question I'm going to ask. I never prepare. I just know the first question is always, what flipped your lid and what measures did you take to reconnect to your authentic self? Well, for 2026, I have altered my question, and what I'm doing instead is telling people that they have said something or lived in the way that they flipped my lid. They changed me, and that's what KJ has done. And I'm going to tell you what you've said and done that did that, and I'm so not happy with you about this, so you're going to have to elaborate on this and help me reconcile this internally. And that is, I've read in your book and heard you talking a whole lot about, because we all know that trauma isolates us, and that healing requires dependence. So dependence for me in my life does nothing but cause pain and agony, and you're talking about healing requiring dependence. Girl, you better explain yourself.
Well, there's a really important key phrase that is on top of that word, which is interdependence.
Okay, let's feel better about that. Everybody feel better about that?
And that makes a big difference. Yeah. But there is no way around the risk and pain of the actual dependence that we need to accept and embody and let others into, especially when experiencing the parts of humanness that no one likes. Sickness, illness, grief, major life disappointments. But interdependence is what's critical. And the sad and beautiful truth is that those of us who have to be more dependent on others to survive our human lives actually, over time, show all the humans around us what it means to be human. We give others permission to be more than solitary selves.
Yeah.
The risk and the pain is worth the reward over time.
So does that feel like a burden, or does it feel very authentically formed because of what you have been through and are still going through?
Yeah, it is a burden. I don't like being sick. I have now 8 diseases and counting. It's literally added one in the last week. Which, funny little squirrel side note, apparently I had was already diagnosed a few months ago, but I had also a tumor removed 3 weeks ago from my face, which you can't even tell. Mostly there's tiny little bruise left, but I couldn't take in the fact that I had one more thing wrong with my body. And my doctor was like, I already diagnosed you with that, KJ. And I was like, oh, oops, okay. I don't like having 8 diseases. I don't like needing 20 hours of treatment by IV every other week when I need to be working. I don't like that I have had to have my in-laws are here, my husband is here as well. I don't like that my in-laws had to fly across the country to help me recover from major surgery at Mayo Clinic earlier this month because I couldn't do it on my own. I inconvenience everyone in my life, and it does get old. In fact, it gets old every day. I don't like it. And yet, I have lived this bodily experience for so long that I have come to trust that when I welcome the grief of my need for others, my relentless need for others, I am actually welcoming joy.
Yeah.
Because love is the most beautiful thing in the whole damn world. And I am in a position to have to receive it practically over and over and over again. And there actually are people in the world who are kind and loving and do learn how to show up for us in very practical and painful and necessary ways.
Yeah, and so knowing that they're here, and Ryan's always here, I know, but that you are in a position to be very humble, surrender this in receiving the inconvenience and what they are offering you. Like, tell me how that affects depression, anxiety, the complex post-traumatic stress disorder is already there.
Right.
How does that come in?
Yeah, okay. So since the last time that you saw me or talked to me, I have learned that I am autistic and have ADHD.
I feel like you were the last to know.
Let's be
Let's just be honest. Can we?
My best
can we?
friend.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. It's so true. My best friend said I was peer reviewed for a very long time, and now it's official. But
Congratulations.
she was the first to be like, "Are you autistic?" And that was like 10 years ago. And point being, while living the story that's in The Place Between Our Pains, my newest book, I experienced a medical crisis so severe that my body was drained of all of her resources to try to appear any more pleasant and pleasing and normal for others. And it wasn't that I was fake before. It's that my body finally shouted loud enough, we must show up as our whole selves, and we're going to force you to do it. And so the experience rapidly unmasked me. And I realized as I typed the last chapter of this book in the first draft that, oh my word, my book is like completely neurodivergent coded. And any person who is this is gonna recognize all the sensory overwhelm and like weird special interests and and I was the last to know. But I bring this up because with autism and ADHD, a major part of my life is dealing with rejection sensitive dysphoria, which is also a common experience with complex post-traumatic stress disorder, which is another thing in my life. I don't count that among my diseases, and I don't count autism or ADHD as a disease. I count it as being amazing. Snap, yes. Yeah. But rejection sensitive dysphoria is an incredibly painful and recurrent experience for people like me, where when I am already overwhelmed by all the bad things happening and all the bad noises and little sensations like the elastic on my dress is really annoying. When that's already bringing me to a threshold of, whoa, that's too much. And then I add in any sort of like awareness of other people might think I'm too much too, or they're annoyed with me, or, you know, my pattern recognition is off of what do all these behaviors stack up? What story is being told by how people are responding to me? I will tell the most negative version of a possible story to myself about what people think of me and how people see me. And the shame of experiencing that spiral and shutdown is so painful that at times I despair of life itself. So, yeah, to come back to your question, I think that having to go to the low places of being unable to access the parts of myself who know that I am loved and that I will be okay and that every part of me is worthy of love, sometimes I can't access all of her. And that is very painful and also a place in which I am being healed.
So let me say, you are a therapist dream. You just gave me like 7 paths that I could
Always
go down and have a really good time as a therapist. So I don't want to bypass any of it. All of it's so important. I know you're different parts of this are registering with all of you, and I think that's so important. I want to go back to what you said is so important about being on the spectrum and bringing in...
By the way, I just can't get over that you're the last person to realize this.
This is what I do. I speak truth.
I'm pretty
it's just
sure,
what I do.
And I haven't like put this on the internet, except for I snuck it into my bio, but I haven't like hard launched it because I was like, I have too many announcements to tell people.
Right.
Like, oh, I have autoimmune autonomic
Right.
ganglionopathy, and I have a tumor that ate my face, and oh, I have a book that just came out, and I'm like, oh, fuck.
And
I also need to tell you that I'm autistic.
And you can pronounce all these things.
I
This
can,
is
and I can
really
spell them,
impressive.
too.
I can't spell them, but I'm very impressed.
Anyway,
but
sorry. It's just a little ridiculous times right now in my life.
Well, with all of that, this is what I want to look at all that. So just knowing being on the spectrum, when you're on the spectrum and just being who you are, your understanding of physical pain is different than the code, the little scale they have in the doctor's office or in the ER.
Which is useless and
Right.
an oppressive tool.
Another tool created by the patriarchy. Let's just say that.
Yes.
Let's just go, right? So I just want to talk about that. Just being able to go and know that you're struggling and in pain and you can feel rejection. But you also, a lot of people on the spectrum don't know the level of physical pain or how to describe it. And that's part of the under medication, being dismissed, being bypassed. So can you speak into that, please?
Also, and I literally, sorry, this is just going to be a little squirrel
path.
story into answering your question. But the first surgeon that I saw to partially remove part of the tumor that is, thank God, now out of my face, and I literally have a new nose. I did not want a new nose, but I did get a nose job. The first surgeon that I saw, I was like, I can feel the tumor growing. And he was like, I don't think you can feel the tumor growing. And I was like, well, I'm not sorry, but I am the same human being that felt that my bones were dying in my knees 5 months before any doctor ordered an MRI for it.
Yeah.
And then I was right, and I had more bone death because you guys, other doctors, made me wait and didn't trust that maybe I actually know something about my body that most people can't know or are not able to perceive. And I bring that up because some of us on the spectrum and from other various life experiences actually do have the ability to sense things that other people can't. And when I came back from Mayo Clinic, where I learned that the tumor had, after he took a lot of it out, just grown completely back and invaded like 3 more structures in my face, I said, well, I did feel the tumor growing. And he said, I think at this point, this is your superpower. And I was like, I think I would like to not have this superpower, but I think you're right. Yeah. So it's very hard because I sound crazy when I say I can feel my tumor growing or I can feel my bones dying on a very small cellular level, and I'm right. That's not perceived or welcomed by men in power, especially, with a lot of respect. And and so I move through the world being perceived as a little touched, which I am, but also feeling the sense of, okay, people like don't automatically respect what I know and need to know in order to survive living in this body. And that is, I think, a common experience for many of us on the spectrum or experiencing neurodivergence of all kinds.
Yes, very much. And trauma intelligence is a real thing, and if you have it, I'm sorry you went through what you did, but use it. Use it. Like, you came by it very honestly. It's a real thing.
And it's life-saving. I wouldn't be alive. Literally, I wouldn't be alive still if I hadn't spoken up about the various problems. Even the tumor, it would have ended up growing into my brain, like at a probably by the end of the year. If I hadn't gone and been like, I feel something, we got to look at it. And truly, the first doctor was like, I think that's probably been there a long time. And I was like, women know what our faces look like.
Yes. Yes, it's so good.
But here we are.
Here we are. Here's the other thing you said that was just profound. The way you talked about your body, you referred to her as her, like you spoke into that. And so many of us, all of us, men, women, non-binary, everybody, but particularly women, our body becomes our enemy way before we're diagnosed with autoimmune disorder, way before other things happen. And so just for you speaking to that about, we're already thinking our body's the enemy, and then there's mixed diagnosis, underdiagnosis, etc. How do you come to peace with that and find joy?
Yeah. So it's so common for those of us who are sick, but also just anybody who has a body, to feel like your body has betrayed you if your body ages, changes, dares to maybe get bigger than it once was, can't keep up with all the work and expectations of the people around you. We come very easily to see our bodies as our betrayers. And the only way I've been able to survive my life is by learning to treat my body like I would treat my best friend. Now, if you are a bitch to your best friend, this advice doesn't
apply
to you. But so if you are one that says some real mean, spicy things to your best friend all the time, take this with a little grain of salt. But think about, would I say the things that I'm saying to myself about my body, would I say this out loud to my best friend? Usually the answer is no. When I'm in a darker place. And we all have our darker places. And then we get to think about, okay, well, how can I speak differently to my body? But the first entry point into that changed relationship with our body and that evolving relationship with our body is to even realize that you have a relationship with your body at all. Your body is not a thing. Your body is not an it. Your body is not something that you can purchase at a store and then put into a bin at Goodwill to get rid of. Your body's with you from breath to death. And your body is actually your best friend and your biggest ally. And I'm saying that in a body that has almost died too many times, and a body that spent most of this week on the edge of needing to be in the ER. Just hard probably to believe, but it's real. We have to reject the narrative that bodies are objects to control and use and extract as much productivity out of as we can. Your body is so much more than that.
I think that's a new concept for most of us, that our body's more than productivity or what someone else tells us it is. And so I think that's something to sit with, and I appreciate you saying that.
Thanks.
And I think so much of what your book is about is the wisdom that you've come to in the hard path of getting to that wisdom. So I'm glad you did it instead of me, so thank you on behalf of all of us.
We can I don't know who we can thank for that, but
yeah,
I have some other words for them.
I would like to hear those loudly in the mic, personally. I'm good with that. Yeah.
Dear.
So, right. So speaking of that, I'm curious, let's segue to theology. I'm so curious about how having chronic pain, chronic illness, does it feel like that changed your theology more or changed your attachment more?
Aren't they the same? No, I'm kidding. I'm just being subversive and annoying. They are so interwoven that I could not unspiral the thread of that. And one thing that I think is important in this phase of my life to express is that I continue to change. And I continue to be unraveled and woven back together, both in my experience of earned secure attachment and my experience of being a person who knows that she is loved by God, a God I do not understand nor always like, or sometimes even feel as real, and yet is truer and more alive than the tumor was on my face. So I am loving this season of my life. Actually was texting with that's a weird thing to say. Wow, this season of my life is the worst after what happened in here. But in a way, I'm loving this season of my life because I'm getting to watch something come back to life. And the something is my spirit. And she was alive the whole time. It's been 3 years since I was back last in Charlotte. It was one of the last events that I did before I had this huge medical crisis. And then I've literally just been recovering ever since and dealing with one more medical nightmare after another. Truly, continuously. It hasn't stopped. And I was just texting my priest earlier today, and he was checking in on me, and I told him I'm being sustained and I don't know what God is doing. It's still hard for me to be like, God is doing something. These are like words that lost their meaning for me for a long time during this experience. But I shared with him this prayer. There's a prayer inside this book of while I was at Mayo Clinic for the first time, and everything was so bleak and there was no way forward. And so, of course, we had to go to the place where people go when your doctors need specialists to figure you out even more than they can. And I had written this prayer that said, breathe life back into my every bone. And this is in this little prayer room at Mayo Clinic called the Center for the Spirit. Little room tucked into the clinic. And there's a prayer wall where people tuck prayers in. And I was barely able to pray or hope at this point. Felt despair every single day. But I wrote, breathe life back into my every bone. Revive my spirit. Grant me determination and courage for the road ahead. Sustain and heal me, O God. And when I was there in May to meet my surgeons before having surgery on June 4th, I got to revisit that room, and I opened this and I got to acknowledge, you have breathed more life back into my bones than I could have imagined. Like, actually, literally, I've had some necrotic tissue come back to life in my bones. I'm going to struggle with my mobility the rest of my life still, but something dead did come back to life. But God also revived my spirit and still is. So I was telling my priest, like, I feel like I'm watching this long dormant plant come back to life. And I'm kind of astounded by that.
There's a resurrection that's happening.
That's what I told him. I said, I feel like I'm living a resurrection right now, which is pretty wild to say as a person who's like facing some really rough medical treatment for the rest of the summer. But like things can be dying in your body and coming to life in your existential self. What?
Yeah. Well, it's very incongruent with whether you got raised in some type of religion or walked into that as an adult. Like, that is very incongruent with how we got taught. There's a certain way you have to live to have joy. And this idea of being taught that if you are living right, you don't get sick in the first place. And none of that is true, but it's lies. But it is very much part of the controlling narrative that's passed down to us. And you've had to face, and you're already facing a lot of the spiritual abuse anyway prior to this, but this really put this very much on y'all's laps.
Yeah, definitely. And I think what's really shitty about these internalized stories and scripts that we have from society and from the church and our parents and all the things is that the stories are so sticky that they will keep telling themselves to you even after you've continued to do the work to claim a new story for yourself. So I say that because shame is a bitch. I'm sorry. I am very irreverent, and I will not stop.
And we don't want it.
Okay, I won't. And I'm, just like, take me with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
Shame is a bitch. And she will keep lying to us over and over again. And you can have all the resources in the world. You can be a trauma therapist who has a lot of loved ones and a really great faith inheritance, actually, and still find yourself shattered by the things in your story that you never would have chosen for yourself. And once again, find yourself believing lies about who you are and where your life is headed.
Yeah.
The need to tell a new story to ourselves never ends. And the necessity of telling ourselves better stories actually becomes sustenance as we keep going. But in the moment of being in the dark place where you wish that maybe you could just die and be done with this whole shit show, it does not feel good. It doesn't feel like it's going to be the thing that liberates you. But it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, as a trauma therapist, like, we talk all the time that it's not the trauma, and it's definitely not the event. For most of us, it's the shame inside of the trauma that is residue, and it is long-lasting, and it's crippling. Because we can hear truth and be bothered, but we can get up and walk from that. Shame will cripple you and put you on your knees in a way that you cannot stand up as self, and that is the pain.
Yes.
Especially when it's constant and you've got a medical community, insurance community, et cetera, all telling you that they need you to be in a different place because they don't want to in any way be burdened as if they're the ones.
Right. And that something is defected in you because this hurts so bad.
Yeah.
It shouldn't possibly hurt this bad.
Yeah.
But it does.
But it does.
And we don't need dismissal. No one has ever crawled out of a pit because someone told them they should suck it up for being in the pit. But that is how most of us are treated, whether you have 8 stupid diseases or a lifetime of disappointments or a childhood full of neglect. Like, the dismissal and often the internalized gaslighting that we have learned to be the norm of our dialogue with ourselves traps us in the pit. And we have to over and over create ways to crawl out, and often those ways are because somebody reaches a hand down into the pit, somebody who's been there before.
Yeah, that's so powerful. Yeah. So I'm curious, and this is a practical level, but also has emotionality to it. What would you say to people who are on this journey, there are certain things that they should look for in a doctor, in a PA, NP, like that they would know that they were being gaslit, being dismissed, or something in particular, because it's not as always as blatant.
Yes. So this is so fresh for me because while I was at Mayo Clinic just a couple weeks ago, I had to see an allergist to be cleared, to be considered, to have a new central line. When you read this book, The Place Between Our Pains, you will learn why that is terrifying, but so essential. Like, I really need a central line to keep living my life and like have access to treatment for the rest of my life. I'm 37. I would really like to be here a lot longer. And I sat down in this appointment where I was supposed to be helped, and instead the first sentences out of this doctor's mouth, after dismissing who my immunologist is, because doctors have like professional prejudices, turns out, was to question whether the most horrific things that have ever happened to me even happened. Just because they are so medically mysterious that they exceed the limits of his intelligence and knowledge. And had I not had 17 years of experience navigating situations like this and written a whole book where I try to expose medical gaslighting page after page, I might not have actually really claimed in my body and interaction how bad it was. But I've wised up. And I could see the shift happening. And I was able to, instead of starting to cry, which isn't bad, it's just real, instead of being locked into a trauma response, I was able to basically be like, no, here's what happened. Let me rephrase that for you.
Yeah.
Here's what happened.
Okay.
No, it wasn't this, it was this.
That's good.
And so for those who haven't yet like had 17 years of experience with terrible diseases, I think learning how to come into an appointment, trying to be prepared with questions and to feel as supported as you possibly can, to bring, man, you gotta have somebody with you. And if you are single, invite friends into this very personal and intimate and shitty and inconvenient part of your life, because you can again have all the tools and have all the experience, and you're still going to get blindsided, and it's going to re-traumatize you. I was horrifically re-traumatized by this doctor right after having the biggest surgery of my life. I had a bandage on my face and like staples in my skull, and this man was trying to tell me that this thing that happened to me couldn't possibly have happened because it was so rare, when I literally just had a tumor removed from my face, that there are only like 3 documented cases, anything somewhat like it in history. Rare things happen to some of us.
Yeah.
So learning how to preventatively and preemptively bring support with us, and including having the support of drink enough water, have food, write down questions beforehand because you're going to be overwhelmed in the moment. That actually arms us with enough room inside of ourselves and inside of our nervous systems even to be savvy to the grossness that might unfold among people who were supposed to help us and often end up harming us. So yeah, I start there, but I could write a whole separate book about how do you spot the good ones, how do you spot the bad ones.
It's very similar to dating, just to let y'all know.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's very similar. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's so much in your book, right? It's just abundance of wealth and wisdom, and it's just so good stories. So is there anything that's not in the book that you'll share with my friends?
Oh dear. Well, there's so much. So like I said, I'm neuroferal. That's my new term.
I like it.
Because one of my hyperfixations is the word feral. So, of course, I had to create a new word to replace neurospicy. So, part of being neuroferal is like, I like to include all the details. So, in order to write this book, that is, 302 pages or something, I actually wrote 124,000 words in my first draft. That had to be cut down to 80,000. So there's so much more.
Just something in particular that you think could be helpful for them?
Yeah. One thing I would like to share that's not in the book and that's in the life that I've been living since is the beauty of kinship. Actually, that's threaded throughout the book, but there's one story in particular that just happened while I was at Mayo Clinic. I have come to live for awareness of my kinship to other human beings in their grief and in their joy. It sustains me. It sustains me. And there's a woman named April who is also a therapist who has read my books, and every time I've come to Mayo, she's sent me a message. And I get a lot of messages, so I don't always reply, and you're like, I don't know what this is going to be. And also it's so personal to be going into these doctor's appointments and people are like, I'll go with you. And I'm like, I haven't met you. I don't know about that. But I was pretty desperate, and she brought us a meal to our hotel, and those gluten-free rolls were so good that I was like, well, maybe we can be friends. And so when my in-laws had to fly back to North Carolina, but I ended up having to stay longer because all the grafts inside my nose were too fragile to go back to Colorado. I had to wait to see my surgeons a little longer. I was like, you know what? I actually probably should let someone accompany me to some of these appointments. And so April picked me up at my hotel at 6:30 in the morning one day. And as soon as I saw April standing by the doors at the hotel, I saw her face stretched wider than mine. I have a bit of a moon face right now from high-dose steroids, and it will get larger. Hers is a little larger right now. And I saw her face, and I knew, you are my people. It was like, you've been through shit, because you don't get that face unless you've survived shit. And so April ended up accompanying me to all of my appointments that day, including the one in which I was medically gaslit worse than I have ever been gaslit in my life, which says a lot. And she was able to be a source of laughter. Like, she literally, our first hour of being together, she's seeing doctors pull my blood out, spin it down to get the plasma, and then inject the plasma into my knees. It was a very full day. We just bonded over bodily fluids all day, and she is now bonded to me for life. And I needed her, and I almost didn't let her come.
Yeah.
And now I have this new friend that's gonna be my friend forever. And she has one of the same diseases as me. She spent a lot of this spring fighting for her own life and getting to be cared for by her, but also now have all of this in common with her and just feel that we see each other, not just the moon face, but the spirit that is trying to survive underneath all of it.
Yeah.
That is sustenance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good. Okay, we're going to go to the audience in a minute, but I want to ask you this. So, complete this sentence for me. Pain, this is a therapist thing, okay? It's what we do. All right. So, pain doesn't have to stop for blank to continue.
Joy.
Joy. You talk a little bit more about joy, and then we're going to see if the audience has any
Absolutely.
big words.
Yeah. So, okay. I think in the United States of productivity.
I had so many other adjectives. So many.
I know, I did too. I was like, which one do I want to choose
it
today?
was not good. Yeah.
In the United States of shame,
Yeah.
We have been given a story that says joy and happiness are the result of hard work and being good.
Yeah.
And if pain comes into your life, or you can't be successful, self-sufficient, if you need assistance from the government or family members, if you can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps, there's something wrong with you. And also, you don't get to access the good parts of life, like happiness and joy.
Yeah.
It's a script we've been handed. We believe that joy is something for the people who are privileged enough to not live in daily pain. And we become really afraid, like joy has passed us by, or, well, how can I really like be in this moment and experience the delight of it, or even hope of what could be good ahead for me, when like everything in my story says I'm just gonna get punched again in the gut. So we have a very struggling attachment to joy. And I have come to experience and increasingly trust that joy is actually far more feral than we fear that she is. She will hunt you down if you will let her, and if you will watch for her. Joy is not just for people who can be productive and have privilege. Joy is sustenance and fuel for every last one of us. And we have the opportunity to, especially those of us who live in bodies that struggle and force us into dependence and interdependence, we're actually primed to be in a position in which we can experience uncountable moments of joy that most people are so busy working and doing and dissociating through that they don't even get to experience.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that suffering is a gift. That is bullshit from the pit of hell. But I will say, having to live like this, if you can keep shifting, and if you can welcome the grief of being in a life like mine, you actually are gonna also laugh so much and experience so much vibrance and aliveness.
Yeah.
I could keep going, but I'll stop myself.
No, but thank you. I think that's a lot for people just to sit with and enjoy and just embody.
It's a little different.
Yeah. It's just and so what I would love to do, I know a lot of people in this room have sadly similar experiences as KJ. You may have heard something today that resonates with you. You might have walked in already having something you wanted to ask her. And so the floor is open. All I'm going to ask is that you stand and speak as clearly and loudly as possible. I will repeat the question, and then KJ will answer it. Is that good? Can we do that?
And anything is okay.
All right. Was that what your hand me raised?
Yes.
Yeah, go for it. Speak loudly as you can, please.
I have 3, sorry.
Great.
Kind of, not really. So I'll start with the first one being, what are your favorite spiritual practices that restore spoons?
Ooh.
That's a good question.
Okay. The spoon theory in chronic illness community, you only have so many spoons that you can use in a day, and you gotta apportion them. So I was saving my spoons to be with all of you tonight. And that was necessary. If I had not saved my spoons, we would maybe be at the hospital. I don't know. Here we are. Okay, spiritual practices that do restore some spoons. Well, I'm real simple. And so small things like taking a deep breath and looking up to notice one good thing. Often if I'm stuck in bed and at home, that one good thing is our dog Risa, who is an empath and my little sidekick, and she like lays her body across my body when my heart rate's out of control or I'm in pain. Like, she just knows. I look at her and I remember, oh my goodness, there's a being who is just so happy to be with me no matter how sick I am. She's just so happy to be with me.
That's good.
There's actually a spot in the book. I didn't have Post-it notes, so I saved my places with Zofran for tonight, which feels really right.
Spot on.
But okay, there's this one spot where I actually wrote a little bit about my mother-in-law who's here. I won't read the whole thing, but this woman has shown up for me and seen every part of me. Sometimes we need help with very, very, mundane adult human things, and you just gotta get the help. But there's this spot where I say, before today, every time I've gotten up, Risa has followed me, tail up, pressing her spotted body to my legs like a crutch to keep me from falling. When my heart rate spikes, she somehow senses it. She curls herself against my legs or drapes her head heavy over my lap until my heart can rest. Risa watches me like it's her job, a job for which she was never trained. When she runs downstairs or outside, she sprints back to the bed every few minutes to make sure I'm okay. I've always thought of Risa as an empath, but now I see her as pure gift. Maybe even, I'm not ashamed to say, a furry glimpse of the face of God.
That's good. That's so good.
Yeah. So that's one.
Yeah.
That's something anybody can do. I mean, you might not have a dog, but you can take a breath and look for one good thing. And that thing might be the color of your wall. It might be the quality of the light coming through your window. But my God, small things are actually sustenance.
Yeah, that's good. It's a great question. Do you want to ask your...
Have been that for us, that's sustenance.
Thank you.
Light on days.
Thank you.
Do you want to go to the second one? Want to do that?
Is that okay?
Yes,
Oh, of
it's
course.
okay.
Yeah.
Another one, I just wanted to ask about the cover of the book.
Ooh, yes, please.
Talk about that, please.
Yes. Okay. I'm so excited to talk about this because I don't get asked about it enough. And it's one of my little neuroferal obsessions is this color. So I was just telling my mother-in-law on the way here that I manifested this book cover. I would love if my powers of manifestation could extend beyond books into the removal of diseases, but so far my witchiness is not good enough for that. So it's okay. I got this. Instead, I had taken author photos with a friend in this dress before this book was ever designed, and this dress I'm wearing today is this like cobalt blue, and that's the color of the cover. And I really wanted to put a different cover into the world because this book is very different than my previous 3 books, and I really wanted to give readers a cue like, I'm a different person now. There's a lot of F-bombs in this book. I might piss you off. I didn't cite a million theologians this time. Just beware. This is different. So I wanted it to be different. And then I also, a major theme in the book is joy as a thread instead of a task. Joy isn't this thing that you must do. Rejoice always. Those words have been weaponized against too many of us who are wounded and weary. And I'm here to say, like, no, actually, joy finds you. And joy is the thing that's woven beneath you. When you are falling apart, joy is what's going to hold you together. So that's why there's embroidery on the cover, and my mom is actually this super gifted seamstress, and so it's kind of a little bit of a like honoring of the person who made me. yeah, and then the moon and sun that are on the cover, you know, I mentioned that I have a moon face right now with steroids. Something I've learned from the moon is the moon is always whole. We can't always see her wholeness. We see her in a sliver. We see her change. I see my body change on a daily to weekly basis. And now I even have a new nose and everything's just always changing. And I can't always see my full self. But that doesn't mean that she's not here.
Yeah.
And so that's the moon, and then the sun. Obviously, there's just this interplay between light and dark, but also, as a kid, my nickname in my family was Sunshine, which, because I am autistic, I took literally, like, I'm supposed to be my family's sunshine. So there's just like metaphor upon metaphor on this book cover. I could keep going, and I will stop because I do have a tiny bit of self-awareness left.
That's so good.
It's like tiny bit,
love
though. Just
So good.
tiny.
Anybody else have a question or a comment?
I have a question, but I'm kind of stiff. So
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I love to journal, but I find sometimes I'm so tired at the end of the day or in the morning even, like trying to use that energy to get all this onto there. And I love your journals, and I love your pile of journals when you're writing the book. And I would just love to know what secrets you might have for how to get that onto paper. I mean, I use my notes app, and you know, there are lots of things, but I would love to know how you do that or what ideas you might have about that.
Okay, the secret is I also don't feel like journaling. The secret is the things that help me the most are the things I least want to do. In general, which is true of nervous system regulation tips, like tapping, emotional freedom technique. The number of times that my husband will be like, maybe we should do a tapping meditation before we go to bed tonight. And I'll be like, no, I hate stupid tapping. This is the worst. And then like, we have to, and then I'll be like, all right, I'll do it if you pull it up. And then it does help me. The number of times, off the charts. The same is true of journaling. And I think it's important to acknowledge that sometimes we just can't too. So in the last, I wanted to record every little bit of this wild ride I'm on with the tumor and this new disease and the repeat of, is this PICC line I might get placed next month going to kill me, like the port almost did, like all these things. I've been wanting to document it all, and my brain has not been able to form words very easily, especially writing. It has been until yesterday in such severe pain that I kind of, with head swelling, brain swelling, that I couldn't, and probably like at some point should have been in the hospital a little longer. But the main thing is to acknowledge to maybe acknowledge our resistance and interrogate it a tiny bit, and then to lower our standards of what showing up can mean. So I had it right back there. I almost had brought out one of my current journal as just like a little visual aid for us. But I didn't journal pages upon pages, but I did write a few sentences in every little bit that I was able to. And that was enough. And I found that welcoming this bruised brain version of myself, but also saying like, I know it's going to help me to write down even one sentence right now, because the story matters, and retelling it to myself helps me survive it. And that was enough. So I think lowering the standard of how much you can do is really where it's at. It doesn't have to be journaling. It's any reflective practice or regulation tool that would help you but is really annoying that you need.
Yeah, and if you're stuck, I highly recommend scribbling on a piece of paper, especially getting a bunch of crayons in your hand and scribbling really,
Actually,
really
yes.
hard. Highly recommend doing that before you punch somebody and go to prison.
Yes, and to say also, okay, what am I afraid of saying right now? That's pretty much
And
what I do every time I write anything.
Yeah.
Anything you've ever seen me write. I probably started with me saying, what am I afraid of saying right now? And it works really well for yourself too. What am I afraid to acknowledge?
That's good. Yeah.
Get you going.
Yeah. All right, we'll take one more question before we let my new friend end it for us. So, anyone else here can put intelligent words together and form a sentence? Anybody? Oh, let's go, girl. Let's go.
Hi, so you mentioned you just had an autism and ADHD diagnosis. I am seeking that after a lifetime, 27 years now. I'm like, this brain is interesting. And now I'm on my third therapist in 5 years, having to reintroduce myself. So I would love some advice of like how you navigated that and also advocating for yourself in that role.
Okay. So it turns out we are different and we need different things in therapy. And sometimes we who are on the spectrum, are neurodivergent, have a lot of complexity in our histories. The approaches that most therapists are trained in bringing to the table, including excellent things like being trauma-informed and somatic, body-centered in practice and modalities, might miss core parts of ourselves. I mean, I have been a therapist since, I've been practicing since it's 10 years. About in August it'll be 10 years since I started my practice. And I didn't know until 2 years ago that I am autistic. I've learned that 2 years ago. And then I got the official diagnosis just recently because I didn't want to deal with assholes on the internet being like, oh, you diagnosed yourself? I have too many other things that are more important to deal with. I don't need assholes. So I was like, I'll get my assessment just so I can be like, yeah, it's real. Get out of here. And also so I can refer my own clients to know, what does the assessment process feel like? And I had a great experience, which most people don't have. So on the therapy side, I'll come back to that, but on the assessment side, I think finding assessors, a psychologist, or a company that they work for that is geared towards late diagnosed, high masking adults is essential, because there's such a large continuum of knowledge and lack of knowledge around what autism especially looks like in women who were missed for their whole lives. And so much of our experiences then, to get back to the therapy side, so many of our experiences and quirks get labeled as trauma responses or as mental illnesses. People are diagnosed with bipolar disorder and borderline personality disorder, and really they're autistic and they're not, they don't need the help that each of those diagnoses need. They need a whole different set of tools for acceptance and awareness. So I think continuing your own process of being able to identify the autistic parts of yourself. After I had to face that I'm autistic because I literally couldn't handle emailing my publisher back. That is the thing that broke me. I was freaking out. Having to email my publisher back, simple adult task, broke me. And I was having these meltdowns, and I thought I was going crazy. And really, I was just an autistic burnout, and no longer, I couldn't cope the same. My old coping patterns, I just couldn't, they didn't work enough anymore. And that happens to a lot of us. And after I had a friend be like, so have you thought any more about whether you might be on the spectrum? And I was like, oh, yeah, that's right. I started therapy with a neurodivergent affirming therapist. She mostly worked with kids, but she had some adults that she worked with too. It's hard as a therapist to see other therapists because we often are like, they're like, oh, you're so self-aware. And they just like can't see through the exterior of like, it's real, but like, I need you to call me on my shit and like see through the things that I know about myself. I need to feel my feelings, not just tell you about them. And she could see through that. She wasn't as skilled as I am in working with trauma. And we got to a certain point where it was like, okay, now I need a trauma therapist again. But my goodness, to come see her week after week and have her be like, oh my gosh, that thing you just did was so autistic. And I was like, what? Oh my word. I had no idea. So having someone reflect back to you, yourself, with different terms for behaviors that you have felt ashamed of your whole life or tried to squelch or keep kind of to the side. I spent my whole life trying to, like, feeling secretly like, people are going to figure out how weird I am. It's like, I can, no. And now I just, like, have a career around being weird. But we need, I think neurodivergent affirming therapists can go a long way, and a really good assessment process can be really helpful. But self-determination is so valid too.
And I want to thank you for your vulnerability and courage with this, and also just to acknowledge, and this is for all of us, so just be aware, it's been so much conversation about, there's been an overdiagnosis of female with autism, female with ADHD or some type of ADD, et cetera, et cetera. Like, please don't listen to that. We're just, all it is people now have a higher sense of awareness, and that there are some level of availability within the healthcare system and other ways to get there. So please just do what you have to do to find the right person that sees you for who you are and also knows that you can get somewhere else that's more whole and that the joy is waiting for you.
Yeah, it really matters. This is about choosing to stay alive for a lot of us. Because losing my ability to try to appear more normal than I actually am was so painful and so exposing feeling that there were moments when I wanted to die. And that is, passive suicidal ideation is so much more common of an experience both with neurodivergent humans and people who are chronically ill. Not to mention all the mental illnesses that we experience. It is so much more common than anyone talks about. Me and maybe you and all of our other weird baddies out there who are trying to get diagnosed and figure out, why the hell am I this way? It's, for a lot of us, actually about staying on this planet and not dying because of the shame of not being able to be like everybody else. Because people don't know what to do with us, and the way that they respond to us sometimes is so painful that we're not sure we can bear going on. And this was part of how I chose to stay on this planet, is to accept that I'm autistic.
Yeah, that's an excellent point. Beautiful place to end, but I do want to honor that. I would love to end. No, please, please do. Please, I would love for you to.
I fully am aware that I'm a lot. Hello, again.
I love it.
So, long story short, I was part of a church community, and we basically got kicked out from the larger church but they were going toxic anyway. So now we're starting this new church. What would be your advice to cultivate a healthy church community and not fall, I know, it's a loaded question, sorry, and not fall into the path of, also we're in the South, so there's a lot of, so basically just, what's your advice on cultivating a healthy church community?
I feel like I'm a bad person to ask this too, because I've been on a long journey with my relationship with the institutional church and like God in general, but the institutional church, and I wrote about that actually a bit in this book, in this new book. my husband used to be a pastor. He actually was very briefly a pastor here in Charlotte, and we had a very bad experience here. So every time I'm back, I'm like, I'm here. You didn't crush me. But he's now a hospice chaplain, and that is for a reason. So we talk about that for us, in order to heal and to be healthy human beings, we actually needed to choose to not make the institutional church the center of our world anymore, but to also simultaneously expand our perception and claiming of what the church actually is. It's so much more than the people who are gathered in a building. And it's so much more than led by people that have MDivs and shelves full of theology books. We are led at our core as those who have experienced piercing just like Christ did on the cross. Those are the leaders of the church, and they might not have titles, and they might not actually even go to church most Sundays. I think the path to forming a healthy community is expanding our ownership and welcoming of the full dimensions of what it means to be a human being and how sacred every part of being human is. So maybe like being a little bit less full of ourselves as owning the good news, and more like looking for the good news showing up in all the lives of the people around us, including ourselves. That's where I would start. But I do have actual like better advice in in my book, The Lord is My Courage. I wrote a lot about our experience of spiritual abuse and healing from spiritual trauma. And there's a lot more nuance in there around trying to confront evil in the church and trying to heal from being harmed by those who were meant to love you. And it's probably a little bit more helpful than that very vague but important foray into human beings are so sacred and so beautiful. And also there's a lot of opportunities to hurt each other. So let's remember how precious every person is.
Yeah.
It's basically my answer.
Yeah, that's so good. Thank you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you all for being such an active, interactive, interdependent audience. We appreciate you, NKJ. Thank you.
Thank you for everybody being here.
Yeah.
It's just a deep, deep joy to get to see your faces.
Yeah.
Like, see your realness and see some of your emotion come out. I spend a lot of my time in medical facilities and my own bed, and it is beautiful and a gift to get to see your real human bodies and lives here, and I mean that. So thanks for being here.
And thank y'all for being part of Flip Your Lid. I don't know exactly what you heard tonight, but I know you heard something that will allow you to flip your lid and become a little bit more of who you are. I ask you to go from here, be peaceful, and be gentle with yourselves. Thank you. Hey, thank you. Thank you for listening to Flip Your Lid. So I just want to ask, if you've got a second, will you take time to subscribe, rate, and maybe even share this episode with someone that you think might get something from it? You can follow along with us through YouTube, Instagram, TikTok at KB Honeycutt. That's KBHONEYCUTT. And no matter what, please treat yourself well today. We'll see you next time.